Back at you, Eater's Digest. Today we got a special subject again. One we're not really experts in, but I mean, we experienced it. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the electric revolution. I am your host, Hos.
Teach me, and then just touch me. Oh, it's kiss me, huh? Till
Yes.
I can get some satisfaction.
Anyone born after the year 2000 may not know. That's Benny Benassi.
Satisfaction.
Classic song. Songs like that are what ecstasy was essentially made for. So keep that in mind. Big part of the electric revolution. Across from me, I got my boy Jose.
How's beef?
And basically, we're just going to talk through how technology has evolved over the years. And not in any technical aspects, just like, hey, what used to be a thing that is not a thing anymore?
Your favorite gadgets that are extinct.
Whether they're favorites or not, or even the idea that there are kids walking the planet Earth today that have no idea what a VHS is. That's an obsolete technology piece now.
You know what pisses me off?
What?
When you get a computer like this one, or a laptop, you can't even get anything for a CD anymore.
Nope. They don't have the ROMs, the drives for them.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Come on, guys, just throw it on there. It's not worth anything. You know, it's an old technology, so it should be super cheap. Throw me DVD, Blu-ray.
It's not just not old. I mean, it's not that old, but it's viable, meaning it's still useful.
Right.
You know, one thing that pisses me off, I'm going to go on a rant right now, is these new phones that remove the audio jack. You get better sound fidelity when you have a hardwired connection. When you use Bluetooth, guess what? You lose some of the fidelity of the sound. Yeah. And you know what? I just don't want to only rely on Bluetooth or have some stupid-ass dongle to connect my fucking... Just have the normal 3.5 millimeter jack headset. It's simple.
I already have trouble losing the aux cord sometimes. Now you're going to give me I got to get a converter. Now... More cords for me to lose, man. Now you want me to go Bluetooth exclusively.
We'll make the phone thinner. I don't fucking need a thin phone. I have fat hands. I need a thicker phone anyways. Like, I don't care how thin the phone is. I don't need my phone to be paper thin. Otherwise, just give me paper. I don't need that.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to start writing numbers again.
God, yeah, instead of
give me my phone book, my little journal.
Why? So you can have a more flimsy, thin phone so it can break, so I can have to pay $1,200
God forbid it falls,
get a new one?
Mine fell in my bed and he cracked.
Dude, that's such bullshit.
He said I put him to sleep a little too hard. I was like, dude, you're the Galaxy S4, dude. Come on.
The only thing that should destroy you is a wormhole or a fucking star explosion, whatever those are
if
called.
I throw a little Nokia right at you, dude. One Nokia bricks. Dude, one guy, he was in one of those bulletproof presidential. There was a president of, I don't know, it was like Kazakhstan or somewhere there where Borat lives. And he was rolling in this bulletproof car. Somebody threw a couple fucking Nokias, assassinated the prime minister, dude. Death by Nokia.
Dude, those, what is it, Swedish? It was Swedish, right?
All he heard was, you're dead.
And then,
the guy's gone.
And you know what? That Nokia is still sitting there. The Snake is still going. You know that game, Snake?
Classic game, man. Yeah, they had that Tetris. They had that one that was like racing.
Yep.
And it was just like 4 snakes that made a thing that was a car. And it looked like a car. It looked like a Formula 1 car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now you look at it like, what's this? A cross? Is this Jesus on a cross?
Dude, but this is exactly why it's an electronic revolution. Because basically, all these smart kids that grew up that started getting into electronics are now trying just to outdo everyone, right? It's no longer, this is going to be better for the community. It's just basically, hey, fuck you, I can make something better than you. That's what we're at right now. That's why I call it the electric revolution. Like
the Nikes, now they got the things on their shoes, so they track your sweat, your everything on your shoes.
Basically where you're at. Like, everything is tracked now.
Bro.
I don't need that. And now you have fucking Elon Musk putting chips into pigs saying this will help with, like, some sort of mental disease disorder or something. I don't know what it was.
Fucking Elon Musk, dude.
It's New World Order stuff, and I'm not ready for it, man. Dude. I'm not ready.
But the kids are, dude. The other day, I'm over here...
it's because they're desensitized. They don't really see it. They're just like, oh, new stuff.
I'm over here on the walkie-talkie. You know what I mean? And I'm outside doing a little bit of yard work. You know, sitting there freaking making the yard look dazzling, rassled and dazzled. And a couple of the kids in the neighborhood, they're sitting there playing hide and go seek. Okay? But, okay, they get ready. They get together. All right, call me when you're ready. That's what the kid said. Call me when you're ready. So then one of the kids, he wanted to get caught, you know? He sends him a Snapchat with his pin location, so he could find little Jimmy's over here under my car. You know what I mean? So now it looks like I got a kid held hostage, you know, and they're looking for Jimmy. Oh, he's under Jose's car. He's taking Snapchats. You know, he's just snitching on himself. Basically, can't even play hide and go seek anymore. These kids are cheating. They just check each other's locations.
Listen, the pinnacle of technology for us when we were kids was laser tag with the vest that would acknowledge that you got hit, and you couldn't even trust the thing. Sometimes you would test it at home. You're sitting 30 feet away, and you aim right at the vest, and you click the button like to shoot it, and it wouldn't acknowledge it. Guess what? I turn it 45-degree angle to the left, pull the trigger, the vest says it got hit. That was the pinnacle of technology back then.
And now you know why criminals hold their guns like idiots. They were playing too much laser tag.
Yeah.
Shooting sideways.
Pretty soon you're now going to have...
off.
Yep, in 20 years, these criminals, these kids that are playing the hide and seek with the Snapchat, they're going to have a gun. They're going to try and put in some pin code. I'm like, here, shoot here. And the gun's just going to shoot it, you know what I mean?
It's going to be the new Blastoise out there for the kids.
Yeah, or it's going to have the Iron Man tracking little missiles, but instead of the missiles, it's the bullets.
Oh, you just go everywhere?
Yeah, and it hits every target within 2 seconds.
That Nerf gun. Imagine the Nerf gun like that. Put it on there.
That Nerf gun is going to cost you a mortgage.
Yeah, how expensive is my Nerf gun going to be?
But, I mean, really, we've seen anyone that's between probably the ages of roughly...
I mean, from the 90s almost, I would say.
Yeah,
born in the 90s.
Anyone
and prior.
Born before probably 2000 would know.
Probably 2000, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, basically before the millennium. If you were born before the millennium, you recall probably roughly some tape cassettes. I remember tape cassettes. I was born in 90. Like, I had a cassette player, a portable one. And then I remember when CD players had come out. I'm like, oh, man, those are really cool. And
God forbid you fart, dude, and then you're already on track 6.
And it'd skip and everything. And then they came out with the anti-skip. And then the anti-skip was only for 30 seconds. And my brother and I would time it by shaking it.
Oh, yeah, dude, I would punch it. I was sitting there, it's like, dude, punch it. I'll put it in my stomach and punch me, see what happens.
Then from there, they had MP3s, right?
Ooh, and MP3s.
Yes.
That's what they call it in the Latin community.
I can't remember what it was called.
That LimeWire? Is that what we're talking about?
LimeWire was a great application that was terrible for your computer because it would basically download every virus known to mankind. Now everything's on your phone now. Really, your phone is legitimately a laptop. It's legitimately a laptop. And it's baffling to me, the processing speed. You can play full-on video games on your phone if you have a strong enough phone. One thing I was telling Jose is, in the technology world, starting essentially September is like a big fuck you. Like, if you're so invested in the technology world... September's like a month where you go broke. For any PC gamers, that's usually when graphics cards come out. It's a piece of technology that allows your computer to basically have the best kind of graphics. Like, back then we thought they were real. Now it's ray tracing where you can see shadows and glimmers and reflections in water. Like, the system just does that for you. It's incredible.
This guy literally has a boner right now. He's so excited for these memory cards. I don't even know what he's talking about either, you guys. He's talking about... I thought he was talking about a new phone. He's like the MRX-17. I thought he was talking about cars. He's talking about graphics cards.
GPU.
The last GPUs or whatever that I saw were the little tiny ones you still had to blow on.
It's never been proven, but we just knew it worked. You'd pull up the cartridge and you'd just blow into the cartridge to like basically remove any dust particles. And then you'd even open up like the input of where you would place it.
Blow on there. Dude, sometimes some dust though, if you
it
remember.
It would accumulate.
Dude, you blow in there, your eye, dude, you look like the mummy. You look like Himotep. Your eye just gets all swollen. You got a couple of mites that attacked your eye there for...
It was basically just an urn that allowed itself to play video games. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what you would do. But it worked, right?
Let me ask you this, dude. For your first infantry, when you were an infant, okay?
Infantry, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think you know what infantry means.
Dude, we're not talking about military stuff, okay? We're talking about our infants, okay?
It's infancy, not
infantry. Because unless you were just one kid, dude, because I had an infantry with me of infants. We called it an infantry. Okay, an infinite amount of infants is an infantry.
Keep going.
Bars, okay? So you play that Game Boy or what?
Dude, I think it's hard to pinpoint. So for technology, Game Boy was probably the most revolutionary.
Game Boy?
Oh, I did. You didn't even let me finish.
Okay.
It's the most revolutionary piece of gaming technology to ever happen. Like, they made it so you could just... Like, you used to be tied to your TV. Now, if I'm going to go for a car ride, and I got to drive an hour plus an hour if I want to go see some family friends in a city I didn't care about, I got to take my games with me. The games weren't typically as good, but the simple fact that you could take them with you was phenomenal.
Dude, and then not only that, dude, just... It was handheld, so you could see it close. Back then, you had a 12-inch TV, you were rich. I mean, people are like at a 10-inch TV in your living room. I don't even know how I could see the damn thing.
But it worked. Like, I'd watch sports on it.
You're all the way from the couch on a 10-inch TV, and all your family, you're like, oh, dude, we're watching Toy Story. We're watching this. And it's a tiny TV, dude. It's like the size of your phone now. You know what I mean? And, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but, you know, the TVs on average were, like, not that big, you know?
Yeah. And then you'd be... Not only were you rich, you were, like... wealthy generational family if your TV had the VHS player below it. Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like you could only afford the smaller one. If you have the dual one, like you couldn't have the big one with the VHS there because you had to commit. Now, do you remember these cool electric memorabilia? When you had a VHS, you don't want to rewind it on your fucking thing. You got the little card thing that it was shaped like a car and would rewind the VHS for you.
Yep.
You remember those?
Yeah.
And sometimes the lights would turn on and then rewind it for you. Dude, those were like the coolest things that I've ever seen when I saw my buddy pull one of those.
VHS were such a controversial piece of technology. They were so controversial because these were tapes and these were physical. These weren't digital, meaning when you wanted to watch something, if someone had already watched it, it was at the end of the tape. So you had to physically put it into the system for it to literally rewind itself.
The whole thing.
It was a mechanism, and just YouTube it. It's fascinating. It just, this machine pops in these little prongs and just spins the tapes back so fast, but it would still take like 15 minutes to rewind. And that was a big complaint of consumers. Like, this fucking video wasn't rewound when I rented it.
Yeah, dude.
So I wasted 50. So they would make a slogan. It was, be kind, comma, rewind.
Baby. Because sometimes the kids... You put on the Titanic, these perverts have been watching him drawing her naked, playing with her titty. And the kids, oh, Mom, yeah, hey, son, put the Titanic on for me. You put it on, it's the first thing it gets to. You couldn't even send the kid to sleep.
Nope.
Now he saw titty.
Yeah.
You know? Now he sucked these...
Because the perv before you, all he did was sit there with the rewind remote, and he just rewind those 20 seconds.
Left it on there.
Yep.
That was a great movie, though.
I hated Titanic, man.
No, for me, it was just like... That part when she got naked,
yeah,
because that's when I was a kid. I was like, "Holy crap!"
Dude, think of the movies.
Everybody had the Titanic, dude. So it was like, how could you not be any culture? You know, El Titanic. Vamos a ver Titanic. You know, it's like everybody had that movie, so that's a guaranteed tit scene for me.
I remember when my brother and I got a DVD player for Christmas, and it wasn't our parents because our parents weren't rich enough to afford it. Like, DVDs were pretty pricey back then. My mom's friend, she was a lawyer. She did really well. She loved us, like, very close. She's like, for our Christmas present, she got us a DVD player with, like, the only 3 DVDs that were back then, and one of them was it was that Space Odyssey movie. It was, like, it was a big deal, but there was, like, that. She had us a popcorn kit, candy. So, basically, like a movie gift basket. It was, like, the most epic thing for us. And when we realized that we didn't know what DVD meant. We just knew it was a disc. We're like, this looks different. And when we found out you didn't have to fucking rewind it, you just go to the main. You can pick scenes. And
the main menu had the scenes, and it had like...
You had 30 scenes you can pick from. Like, so if you didn't
even
want to watch...
scenes are doing something funny, so you know, oh, this is when he got lit on fire. Oh,
if you don't want to watch like the first 45 minutes, you just go to scene 20. You can skip the first 45 minutes.
Sometimes you could even skip the commercials or whatever they put at the beginning.
The previews, you hit main menu, and you no longer have to watch those commercials, man.
You don't have to fast forward, nothing, dude.
Yeah.
The one thing that blew my mind, and I'm not sure if I told you this story, but one of the first tapes that I ever grabbed a hold of, I didn't know what it was, but it had a cool cover. It was dark, looked a little demonic. And you know me, dude, sometimes I get a little intense, get a little Voldemortian. And I grabbed this tape my dad had like this giant like stereo system. He was always into music, and dude, he probably has like if we're talking about like tapes and stuff like that. He probably has like, I mean, I'd say he has like thousands of dollars worth of like tapes. He's got like every single like he's kept all of that. You know what I mean? But I grabbed one of the tapes and I put it in, dude, and all of a sudden this song comes on. And it's like da 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 da. You don't know that song? You need cooler, baby. I'm not foolish. I'm gonna take you. It's Led Zeppelin, Whole Lotta Love. So that song comes in, and then in this song they have a weird drum solo. Okay, this is the first time I ever heard an electric guitar, dude. I'm like 6. And they have this like weird electric they have this like weird solo where it's like drums and like weird like guitars, you know, it's like vroom, vroom, and it sounds like somebody's like possessed a little bit.
Yeah.
And the guy's like going like in the background. So I thought this was the coolest technology I've ever seen, you know, heard in my fucking life. I've never heard anything like this, right? Yeah. And I get my grandma, she had come over from Mexico. And I was like, I kept that cassette because was just like mind blown of what noises were in this cassette. So I was like, Grandma, I gotta play this for you. So I play the Led Zeppelin song, and I fast forward on the cassette
to the demonic part, of course.
That part, because I was like, it was making weird, strange noises, dude. And she got so mad at me. Dude. She's like, "Why are you listening to this satanic shit, dude?" And she beat the shit out of me for
super old school
for Led Zeppelin, dude. I got beat up, but that was the second time I heard that song. The first time I fell in love. The second I got my ass beat.
You're like, oh, it's not worth it anymore. But, you know, it's thinking of how technology is literally ingrained into our normal interaction. I don't know if you flew often when you were a kid, but I had mentioned before that we'd go to Puerto Rico or Florida for summers and even some Christmases. And I remember a lot of things, like even with like before 9/11, they would serve you like, do you want chicken or lasagna? Both of them are shitty meals, first of all.
At the plane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but back then, I remember where there wasn't like a thing, like unless you were super rich and like you lucked out, TVs weren't a thing in the airplane. Instead, I had my crayons, I had my pen and paper or pencil, and I do crosswords. So like here's a kid on a 6.5 hour flight trying to find a way to kill time, right? Because it's a lot of time for a kid to pass by. We're not meant to sit still as kids. And now a kid has thousands of movies at his disposal. But here's the thing, like I remember they were like, we'll be playing this movie. And as a kid, I only wanted like Disney movies or those like fun ones. So like when I heard like we're going to be playing Deep Impact with Elijah Wood, I'm like, fuck that movie. It's going to be a long flight. Like, imagine now, like if you did like an electromagnetic pulse and you shut down everyone's iPods, laptops, phones, and like, hi everyone, welcome to this Delta flight. As you see in front of you, you have a monitor, and you'll be plugging in some shitty earphones and watching one movie and one movie only. Those were the best,
though. You would get those shitty earphones. Like, dude, I don't even own headphones.
And you'd hold on to them.
Yeah, you keep them.
And you thought they were the greatest thing ever.
When you get a vacancy,
yeah,
dude,
you take that one because they'd have them in the plastic bags already.
And it would come with all the converter things. You know, a converter to stick it from, you know, the hole.
If you had a different audio jack size, and like, but imagine telling that now. Like, say some 15-year-old kid, you're like, okay, I'm gonna be on a 10-hour flight to go to London or some shit, and you go, hey, you only get to watch one movie. That's it. No music, nothing else, just one movie. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, the fact that we can burn time. I remembered going to Puerto Rico for my grandma's funeral in 2019, and I was stuck in JFK for a 4-hour layover. I had my Nintendo Switch. I didn't know what I would have done if I didn't have like my phone or Nintendo Switch. Actually, I know what I would have done. I would have just sat there and maybe read a book, because I would have brought a book to read, because I would have planned ahead. But now the fact that, you know, I'm like, oh, you know what's a show I haven't watched that I could catch up on because I have 4 hours to kill now? I just press a couple buttons on my phone and there we go. And that's something my dad always mentions it. He's like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I would always take my childhood back or go back to times in the 70s. And he goes, and I get kind of the aspect of the idea.
The thought seems
and he goes,
nice.
But overall, he's like, would I trade the technology? No, my dad is like the biggest YouTube fanatic now. Like, My mom and dad are always on YouTube. Like, they always complained about my brother, my sister, and I always on video games or watching TV and movies. Well, lo and behold, 10 years later, right, when YouTube is now monetized, Google owns it, and it's like everything's an algorithm, and they figure out what you want to watch before you even know you want to watch it. They're sucked into this.
Next thing you know, you're
right,
hooked.
they're for 4 or 5 hours just on YouTube on their phones or on their Kindle or on the laptop. I'm like, look at you guys. You guys are worse than I am now. You guys need to get out.
They
get
started
some
watching
sunshine.
home recipes. Now they got the Thailand boys in the cave.
Yeah.
Conspiracy. Right.
But even my brother, or I mean, even my dad is now like, I would not trade the technology at all. Like, the fact that if you happen to be laid over, you have something to do.
They had phones on the planes, though. Remember?
Yep.
Before they had the screens, they
Yep.
had they had phones. You're like, dude, and they looked like a cooler phone than you had at your house.
And
like,
I always wanted to call
phone.
someone, but it would cost like $50.
Dude, I didn't even know who to call, dude, because nobody else had phones.
And then it was cool. You could swipe your credit card on it.
Yeah.
But like, and there's always that one asshole that would have the conversation for an hour with someone on the plane. But now,
Wolf of Wall Street, dude.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
What was one of your first CDs that you got? What's like your first CDs?
My first CD, I remember this like it was yesterday. Believe it or not, it was "Beware of Dog," Lil Bow Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the song on it? Can you give me a little something?
Yeah, it was a bounce with me, bounce with me, bounce with me. What's the other one? What's the one with Snoop Dogg? Where my dogs at? Bark with me now. Bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay. There was Puppy Love. Puppy Love was a really good one. That was a good album, actually. I like that album. But that was my legitimate first owned CD. That was my first one. I remember my CD player, too. I can't remember the brand, but it was like this light stone gray with like this very light blue accent on it. I don't know, but...
I would just steal mine, dude. I'd go shoplifting like a criminal.
The only thing I ever stole was a couple candy bars, and I didn't like the feeling afterwards.
Oh, really?
So I never stole again, yeah.
I didn't like the feeling, but once I didn't get caught, I loved the feeling.
Well, yeah, because you didn't get caught, right? Like, I didn't get caught, but I felt like shit.
And I felt addicted eventually.
Did you?
Yeah,
You
but
became,
I had that. I got one that was
a kleptomaniac.
like a Sony. It had the skip thing,
The anti-skip?
the anti-skip, and it had MP3 CD, so it had everything on it, dude.
Oh shit!
And it was a Sony, dude. I mean, when you're talking about Sony back in the day, it's like if I walked in with what's like the equivalent of a Sony a Walkman now, dude. It's like
right now, like the iPhone 20.
It's just like something like that.
Like, I'm not even exaggerating. If you
with
had
like
a
gold, like just like bedazzled with diamonds.
Yeah, if you were in the 90s or early 2000s and you had the Walkman, a Sony Walkman, like the Premier or the Pristine edition, you're literally walking around with like an iPhone that hasn't come out yet. 2 generations in the future is what you had. That's how exclusive that was. You stole that.
I stole several of those.
Those were probably $130 back then, and I know absolutely nothing about what do they call that? Whatever the weight thing is, like whatever the money is proportionate to. But I figure that back then, $110-$120 is probably close to $300+ right now. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, I was in 7th grade with one of those bad boys, bro.
Yeah, making snow cones. You could have purchased it, man. Dude.
Well, no, I don't think so. I actually had set up, and I don't know how I had this, but this is so weird. I had in my locker, because you know when you're in junior high, you got a locker. How cool that feeling was.
Yeah.
I like my technology so much with music. I bought a bunch of Radiovac batteries. Remember those? You can get like 800 for like for like $5. 800 AA batteries. You're like, dude. So I made some sort of weird accoutrement with it was like my Walkman. I had it on there. I had when the G Unit CD came out. You know how the
Terminate on Sight?
The one that had the that looked like their chain. Is that it was just self-titled, I'm pretty sure.
G Unit.
So it looked like their chain, the spinning chain.
Yeah.
So I put it in my locker inside, and I hung it somewhere where it would spin. So I could spin it like their chain.
Yeah.
But I brought in my Walkman thing, and then I got a car speaker, right? And I somehow made a connection, like I split a cable or whatever, and hooked it up to my Walkman. the speaker to the Walkman.
Okay.
And I'd be able to play like one song because the battery
Would just drain it.
It would just drain the shit out of that Walkman. So I was able to play like one song, throw the 2 batteries away. Another song,
Refill.
throw another away.
Yeah.
But dude, I had to my locker, bro. It's like I had my buddies come check out my locker, dude. I play some G Unit. I play some music in there in my locker. We only get one song, guys. So we put on the song, the battery would die.
I think the one thing that fascinates me about this electric revolution was, and I don't know if it was due to me being a kid or literally the technological leaps that we've made in, the 3 decades I've been alive, was it fascinating to me? Because right now, honestly, over the past maybe 5 years, I'm unfazed. Like,
it's because it's the same.
Yeah, like, I mean, I get it. Like, we're making advancements still, but it's not the same leaps and bounds. So is it because I'm so used to seeing the technology change so often? Or was it because I was a kid, the wonderment was there? You know what I mean? Like, I truly don't know if a kid now understands the sense of wonder I had when I was a kid back then. Like, a car having a DVD player in the car watching TV was so unattainable to me that it was like the highest form of luxury. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, I would fantasize about my dad buying a car that would have a screen and a DVD player, or installing one, which was like $3,000.
Yeah.
It was an absurd price back then. Like, to me, that was a fantasy. Now a kid
Now you look
in
at
their pocket have a full selection of anything they could really want to watch.
Or you watch one of the videos from back then, like a Birdman or one of those, and they have like a Escalade with like screens and stuff in them. And then you look at the Escalade and it's like, dude, that Escalade is so ugly. But
like,
back then you're like, dude, whoa.
Yeah.
And then they have the spinners, they have the screens.
Yep.
Now you look at it, it's like, dude, that looks super cheap. But back then, like you said, it looked like pure luxury.
Like, it was a sense of wonder. And I don't, like, as kids now, do they have that same level of like, oh my gosh, like the difference between, I know that, like, so I've had an Xbox 360, and I'll admit, from the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3 and the 360 was like a big leap in technology. Like, I'm like, okay, this is impressive. But for me, that was the last time where I'm like, this is an insane leap, not just small increments. Because from the 360 to the Xbox One, I mean, there were obvious improvements on technology, but it wasn't so mind-blowing. I'm like, okay, like, we're now reaching there. Now we're reaching this, what I called it's not I called it, it's literally called ray tracing. It looks phenomenal, but it's not so far from what we're already at where I'm like, oh my god, I can't fathom it. And
that's why, to me,
do kids go through that now? I don't know if they do.
Yeah, to me, that's why I don't mind technology now, because back then, sure, you got the Nokia brick, and then, bam, enough people got killed with one of those. Now they're going to make the chocolate. Oh, it looks way different. It's tiny. Oh, now they're going to hit you with the racer.
Or the juke, which was
or
this,
that
like,
twist is going to hit you on a sidekick real fast.
The juke was like a tampon-sized thing that would flip out, and it was so small. And these phones got so small because the big trend was the smaller the phone, the better.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, smartphones come out. iPhone kills it.
Well, it was the iPod first that came out, the iPod Touch.
That's true. The iPod Touch was the first of its
because you got
kind.
the big iPod, and then you got the iPod Touch, and you're like, when that came out, and I saw the graphics on that one, because that's when like Apple started to take off with their PCs and stuff like that, and their graphics were like, whew, and then they had their all-in-one computer, obviously, so just like that, just like the graphics were like the same on their iPod Touch.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. So that's like when I was like, whoa, this is nuts.
And then the idea of like GPS, right? Like when you could get
apps.
Do you remember
when apps started coming in too?
Or the Google phone? Do you remember the first Google phone?
Nah.
It was weird. It was like this. It had a little trackball at the bottom, kind of like a BlackBerry.
I hated the Blackberries, but I always wanted one.
I ended up getting my hands on a BlackBerry, and
was it easy to use? Or
it honestly was. Like, it was impressively easy to use. If you really think about it back then.
Do you remember how easy, and I think we've talked about this before, it was to text on one of those flip phones?
Multiple buttons. Yeah, you would just press the button until you get the letter you wanted.
To me, it was nice because it had like a little indents to where
it was tangible.
certain keys are.
Yeah.
So, dude, I could literally text in my pocket, and I could send a full text. I didn't even have to look.
Yep.
Like now I kind of have to look, even if I'm swipe texting.
Yep.
I still have to kind of look, but on the flip phones, I could really just go, okay, I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so I know where all the keys are.
Yep.
And I could text super
The
fast because they were like
button.
pre-worded for you. Yep.
Yep.
And you can just send it. Like you'd be texting in class, sitting there looking like you're jerking off. No, you're just texting this hot chick. That's it.
Yeah. You're not getting off. You're sending off messages
Sending
to
off,
your
dude.
crushes.
The original
you know what I mean?
send right there, dude.
Yeah, no kidding. And then it's just interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, technology back then, always fast. It still kind of fascinates me, but not. I don't have the same level of wonderment that I used to have. This one is kind of recent. So I guess if you're even 20 years, maybe 15, you should maybe know. I don't know if you were old enough to realize. Do you remember when Blu-ray became a thing? Like, obviously, it's still a thing now.
I did, but I
established.
always thought it was lame.
So my brother's always like a huge fanatic of like tech, right? Always has been. He's been a sucker for it. He'll spend the money. He's that guy. So DVDs are out. You know, they have the HD. HD looks fantastic. And then Blu-ray's a thing. And we see, and there's obviously visible differences on it. It looks crisp. It looks clean. It looks so real that fake movies look fake. As if that makes any sense. Like, it looks so good that Transformers looked awful.
Dude, I don't know. I never could see the difference like that.
Well, I could, because I mean, you can tell that it was the CGI was so crisp and clean. You can separate the reality from the CGI. It was the weirdest thing. Like, it was so clean, it looked odd. But either way, this goes to show you like technology and how when it first came out, it's so expensive, and then all of a sudden, because it's readily accessible, the prices drop. Right, supply and demand, and then the hype behind it. A Blu-ray player. I remember because my brother wanted one so bad. $600 for a Blu-ray. But when they first came out, this would have been close to the PS3 era because
and it came with one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So my brother's like, why would I even bother buying a Blu-ray when the PlayStation 3 had one for like $300 or $400, right? And the funny thing is, PlayStation really, Sony, I guess in general, really killed the Blu-ray price range because of that reason. Like, a family who even considered buying one was like, well, let me just go ahead and get a gaming console, because then my kids can play games, I can still play DVDs, I can access internet stuff through my console, and still play Blu-rays just as well as any other Blu-ray player. So it's like, it's weird to think how technology undermines technology. And like, again, just that big revolution was like, fuck you, I got this better than you do.
I think why you also don't think that it's maybe not as fun or whatever, or as engaging anymore, is because when all of these things were changing, they didn't know what was going to stick.
Yeah.
So that's why they're trying out all these different shaped phones, all these different shaped gadgets, because, okay, we know that portable music, people love it, and they're going to spend money on it. Now we just have to figure out a way for, like, what shape or in what format they're going to like it. And now that they know that format, it's not going to change. You might just get better specs or better memory or things like that. But other than that, everything's exactly the same. So for the most part,
functionally, it's the same.
Yeah, nobody's going to come out with a triangle-looking phone now because that's too much of a risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It would be like, it would take a special someone.
Before you had the Ninja, you got this phone looks like a star. You got the Octopus. You got the what else you got? You got the Mosquito. That one's like, it's, you put it in your ear. That's it.
Yeah, it literally just plugs into your fucking neural system. Ugh. But yeah, tech has always been kind of a pretty fascinating subject for me. And again, we've advanced so quickly that I guess now, again, I haven't decided if it's just like the improvements are so small compared to what they used to be, leaps and bounds, that now I'm just like, okay, whatever. Or I'm just an adult and now I'm jaded. Who knows? But
no, I just think it's not as fun. If you know what I mean.
Well, because it's so easily accessible now. Like, you can just get it.
There's no fun to it like before. Where I'm gonna go steal one. What about now? It's like I'm not gonna steal a phone. I can't steal one.
Bluetooth came out, I think, when I was in high school, and like I didn't know what Bluetooth meant until I had a phone with Bluetooth, and it took me a while to really figure out. And I'm like, I can send a song to. It took like 30 minutes. Like, I'd be in class and I had this Samsung like T185 or something like that.
Link to...
Yeah, and I'd link up with someone and we'd have stupid ass names, just like emails.
Now, how about the Game Boy being able to do that way before a phone?
Yeah, where you can connect them and then
you can battle, dude.
Yeah. Again, Game Boy changed the entire
What about that PSP, baby?
Dude, PSP was ahead of it.
PlayStation Portátil.
That it was so ahead of its time. That was its downfall. I think PlayStation even with the Vita, it was so good and ahead of its time that people weren't ready for it. So people were like, they just didn't really pay attention.
It's basically a Switch.
It is.
You think about it.
And I have a Switch. I love my Switch.
And people like the Switch now. So like you said,
it was ahead of its time. That was Sony's downfall. Is they were so ahead of the game. People weren't ready for it. I honestly believe that.
And sometimes that happens if you think about it with some technology. You're just like, wow, it's like, why is this so cool now? And before it was like the worst thing in the world.
That's what happened with Dreamcast. Like, anyone who's a huge video game enthusiast now will tell you, like, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time. It just didn't come out at the right time. That, like, people just weren't ready for it.
But think about how fun everything was. Like, when MP3s come out, like we mentioned about Trojan horses.
Yeah.
You're out there with LimeWire. You're out there with the internet, because now internet's becoming more accessible. So I no longer have to go but take the free CDs to go get free internet and get a 30-day AOL trial and chat with strangers in Russia, because you could do that on the AOL chat. Of course. You know, so I don't have to do that anymore. Connect it to my landline and do all this thing and make a fake. Like, I was doing that and I was a kid. Like, that's how fun it was. Like, now kids, I don't think they can do that. Like, set up their own internet. Imagine that. Imagine how cool it was for us. Like, I would go home and I figured out how my penis worked. So I figured out porn existed. I figured out the internet existed. I figured out I could get it for free. And I could do all of that as a kid. Now, I guess if you have a phone, I guess you could do that, but your parents could probably block it. But just like the quest for all of that.
There was an effort involved in it.
You know, I'm going to go get a CD. I'm going to figure out how to connect the internet. Because it's not like now. I'm literally going to interrupt the phone line. Nobody's going to be able to talk to us. I'm going to be busy jerking off, dude.
Yeah. Okay? And then your mom missed that important call to get some cheese mint from the neighbor. But video games for me have always been like my biggest introduction / connection to technology. And the one thing I definitely miss is now everything's like digitally downloaded, which is convenient. Don't get me wrong, I get the convenience of it, but the thing I miss the most is like the releases of video games at midnight. I don't know, you were never really a big gamer. I don't know if you ever did it, but like Halo or Gears of War or Call of Duty, you would go wait in line, but I mean, you'd pre-order it and it'd be a big event. Like,
go to the FYE.
Dude, there were tournaments. You would play against other teams. Like in Halo, my friends and I, we took 4th place. So they gave us like certificates for free pizza, some free Monster Energy drinks,
Utah Fun Dome,
and then just like it was like this big event where people would get together and like it was honestly just a party, a video game party. And I miss that. And kids now, some places still have it. Like the Microsoft Store does it for some Microsoft exclusives. I don't know if they'll continue to do it, especially now with COVID. But it was just cool to kind of you'd meet people. And I ended up making, some people have like actual real life friends. I'd learn this person, they'd give me their gamer tag, I'd add them. And now I have a buddy to play with online. Even though I never see him again, I would always chat with them online. But some people have actually made real life friendships at those places. And I think that's pretty cool.
See, and then as far as you talking about like things becoming like really exclusive, like that's a big thing too with like video games for me, because back then video games were easier to play. So for me, I could, like, let's say even if I wasn't in the video games as much as you, like I could go with you because it was pretty easy for me to even kind of figure out.
Yeah.
Now if you're gonna try to take me to whatever video game you're playing, dude, I'm gonna be lost. I'm gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, they're pretty complex now.
You know what I mean? So before it was just like easier for a noob or whatever to go and hang out with you and play a video game, opposed to now.
Yeah, they're more straightforward back then. You're absolutely right.
And I got bullied online for trying to play online. I told you about this. I'm sitting there, I don't even know the name of my magician. I'm playing some weird game and I keep getting killed and somebody's like, dude, who the hell is this? You know, Valdorian or whatever the name of my guy is. He's a piece of shit. I'm like, dude, it's definitely not me. There's probably another guy that sucks more.
That's a sad thing. The gaming community is arguably the most toxic.
The game ends, and then I look at my actual host, Beefy, died 800 times, killed 0.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I've been involved in video games, I guess I'll be that guy. I never realized how much more complex they are compared to back then. They were a bit more straightforward. because I'm still used to it. Like I'm practicing it, so it's not too different for me. But I don't know. Just it's interesting, really. To think.
That's why I'm scared. I told you I try to play. I get motion
On the same
sickness.
note, though, I think that if you go back to the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo Entertainment System, that era, you had to be so precise with your timing that kids now that have like the automatic aim bots and all that stuff, they couldn't play it because you had to learn patterns and memorize time. And there's still part of that today, don't get me wrong, but the tech has also made it somewhat easier, especially for like first person shooters. But hey, this revolution has really killed us as far as technology. Everything is so expensive. Remember when smartphones were like $200-$300 when we hated paying that? They've suckered us now to paying over $1,000 for
yeah.
and
that's why with me, dude. Look, I got my phone. I'll show you, and you look. You can say it on there. Because I got this bad boy on sale. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had the Galaxy S4 for the longest time up until last year. So I noticed once I got this new phone, I was like, oh, is this what actual pictures look like again? But what color is my phone, if you can see?
Grayish? I can't even. I mean, it's fucking dark in here. You got fucking neon lights to just throw off the color.
Well, it's a pink phone.
I don't fucking can't.
So I got a pink phone. It was on sale, dude. But I paid $200 for it, so I don't have to make phone payments on it.
Yeah,
because I don't want $1,000 phone when it's gonna be the same thing, dude.
I'm at that point in my life now. Like I'm mature enough. I don't care enough about the phone. I just want it to access my music apps. I want it to access YouTube. Just basically a couple apps. Ability to call and text and access the internet. I don't need anything super fancy, and you can get that out of a $200-$300 phone now. I don't need the latest iPhone. I don't need the latest Samsung.
It's like this one can take pictures of your pores. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't need fucking that. First of all, I don't really take selfies like that. So, and I definitely am gonna buy a phone that has a fucking 3.5 audio jack. And the day they stop doing that, well, then guess what? I'm gonna have to just carry around
that Nokia or what?
A laptop. No, maybe
throw a couple Nokias at people.
Maybe the Sidekick.
I tried to get a flip phone.
Yeah.
And now, dude, they make them like so shitty. Like I
do that on purpose.
I was like, I tried to get one. It's like, yeah, it was like they're made too shitty. They lag a lot. You know, they're not like made like before. So I read the reviews. So I was like, well, I guess I should probably keep.
Yeah, the revolution again. It's this new world order. They're suckering us.
Well,
they're just bullshitting and making us.
I thought you were gonna go down a dark alley. There's somebody sucking you off or something. But look, on that note, it's a little bit late. This man, he gets tired fast. But before he leaves or before we end the episode, well, we're gonna end the episode right now. But I'm gonna turn on the console and I'm about to whip him on a couple of old video games that I got. So I'm gonna challenge you to a quick duel, and then we can end it that way.
You'll likely beat me, but that's okay. I mean, I enjoy
with a
video
good battle.
games. Yeah,
okay.
We'll leave on high notes.
We'll leave on bad terms, dude. Because after right now, I don't want to be friends.
Well, guys, just stay woke. Again, this technology, this electric revolution is really taking the world by storm. So we got to be careful. We got to be vigilant. This is your host, your co-producer, your co-editor, your co-everything of this podcast, Jos.
And this is Jose. And then just make sure your kids play hide and seek. If you're my neighbor, dude, come on. You got to fucking let your kids play hide and seek the normal way. So don't be a freaking weirdo Snapchatting each other. But all right, I hope you guys liked this episode of Eater's Digest and enjoy the rest every day.